I've recently been able to try a lot of different phones, from flips, minis, budget, and even phones with a 3D display, but this is still the one I come back to the most. This is the TCL NXTPaper70 Pro, and along with a very long name, it also has a unique display, suspiciously familiar looking software, and even tastefully bringing back some old technology at an actually mind-blowing price point. It's to the point where I'm surprised I haven't heard more about it. Big old disclaimer though, this video is not sponsored by TCL, but they have sponsored a past video of mine on this exact phone here. They don't even know I'm making this video, and I'm gonna try to be as honest as possible, but I probably do have some internal bias, so keep that in mind. And as always, you should be making up your own opinions anyways. I've been familiar with TCL as a company for a while, and I mean, you've probably seen them too. You can't walk into a Best Buy, especially in the TV department, and not see a TCL product. But as far as their phones, I haven't heard of them until this. And it kind of makes sense. A phone that's really revolving around display technology made by a TV company, that ought to be a good match. As someone who daily drives an iPhone 17, I gotta say, the software here, it looks pretty familiar. This is the closest copy of iOS that I have seen on an Android phone, from the control center to even the app icons. And to be honest, I don't mind at all. Like I said, it's familiar, and I think that's a good thing. You do still get the basic Android gestures though, like the little side swipe to go back, which I wish was on the real iOS. That just feels so natural. And of course, it doesn't have Siri, but instead has the much better, at least as of now, Google Gemini. The only thing I really don't like is how cluttered it is at the top. I don't even know what half of those symbols are trying to tell me. I'd much rather prefer the simpler iOS. But this is Android 16, and that is by far the biggest issue with this phone. The same thing was true for the Motorola Razr I tried. Those phones are built to last for years, but they kind of seem like they aren't designed software-wise with that in mind. Phones outside of the Googles, the Samsungs, the Apples, they lack that 5 to 7 years of guaranteed software support. I did some more research, and now I'm seeing that it's 2 major Android updates and then a few years of security patches, not 2 to 3 years total. So it's no iPhone 11 getting major software updates through its 8th year, but it will be getting major updates to Android 19 and security patches until 2032. At least that's according to their website. So it is way better off than I thought. But what might reel you back in is the price. This phone costs $300. That is half the price, $300 less than Apple's cheapest iPhone, the 17e. And as you will see, this has a lot of features that the 17e doesn't. Apparently through a carrier, it's even cheaper at $199. That is crazy for any phone these days, never mind a decent one. I think the best analogy for this phone is it's like a hole-in-the-wall takeout restaurant where it might not be the best quality everything, but it's not going to be expensive, and they're absolutely going to load your plate up. But like I said, this phone offers quite a lot. It has some pretty nifty features and this little special switch that I'll get into later, but you might not expect that from this phone, especially considering its name is like it's being listed in a lawsuit. How about instead of the full government name of TCL NXTPaper70 Pro, maybe just like Next Pro? Like, I just can't imagine. It's like, oh, what phone is that, dude? It's like, oh, it's a TCL NXTPaper70 Pro. Like, oh, that sounds kind of cheap. Like, oh yeah, it's $300. That is cheap. That must be awful, right? Wrong. If you blindfolded me and put out a bunch of phones for me to touch, the TCL would not stand out as being low quality. Like, it feels good. Feature-wise, it has a volume control and a power button, which does double as a fingerprint reader. And again, that little special switch makes an appearance. And as much as I love the convenient placement of the fingerprint reader, it's maybe a little too convenient, because when I'm just picking it up to move it and not trying to unlock it, it's trying to read whatever finger is just grabbing that part of the phone, and then it locks it up for too many attempts, and then like right now, and I have to actually type in my password. Boo-hoo, I know. Slight amount of physical labor. And generally, it comes with standard phone features these days, like face recognition. But like almost every other Android, maybe all Androids that I have tried at least, this whole left side is empty. Please put something there, like a customizable button, like the action button, a ringer switch, maybe even, actually that's kind of all I can think of. As far as the technical specs, it's rocking a decent mid-range CPU with 8 GB of RAM, but you can kind of change that. They have the RAM expansion setting, which pretty much just virtualizes memory, and you can add up to 16 gigabytes of RAM, so it'd be 24 gigabytes total. Now that is pretty cool, but it's not a direct replacement for RAM. It's gonna be a little slower. It could wear down your whole phone's lifespan, and it could drain your battery faster. Internal storage wise, this is rocking the pretty much standard 128 gigabytes, and unlike the RAM expansion, you can actually expand the memory in this because the SIM card slot doubles as a micro SD slot, and you can add up to 2 terabytes of storage. I think that is awesome because if you're gonna be a long-term user of this phone, expandability is always welcomed. It is a powerful enough phone to play something like Fortnite with absolutely no problems. The one little thing is, this has a 120 Hz display, but even when I changed it from the smart mode to just straight 120 Hz, in the game settings, there was no option for it. Apparently this is due to Fortnite just not being compatible or optimized enough for this phone's chip, so it has a 60 frame per second limit. On other different brands, you can get 120 frames per second, even on something like the Google Pixel 10a, which is like $100 more expensive. Now, especially for mobile gaming, 60 Hertz is fine, and I was able to run it smoothly on pretty much maxed out graphics. I'm not sure what compatibility looks like widespread gaming on this phone, but if you are looking to take advantage of the full 120 Hertz, keep that in mind. Also keep in mind, something like the 17E lacks 120 Hz as a whole. I stumbled across some more cool things, like if you swipe and hold, it opens a shortcut menu where you can open a quick note and pin it to your screen, and you can also split screen apps. And also something like screen recording lives in that menu, which I use to show the Smart Manager app that can automatically optimize things like storage on your phone. Then there's also the radio app, which you plug in earbuds and it uses them as an antenna. That is pretty cool, but there's this remote app which made me even cooler. Literally, I just assumed it would only connect to TCL TVs, but it actually connects to everything like my fan, and it connected and worked immediately. That is very nice. But battery life wise, the NXTPaper70 Pro, I sound like a robot saying that name. It has a big battery though. I think it's 5,200 milliampere hours. Now it charges at 33 watts through a cable because it actually does not support wireless charging. That's not a deal breaker to me, but that is something pretty significant to note. I have unsurprisingly found that the battery is perfectly fine. The only thing I will note is idling. When I just had this phone turned on and haven't touched it, it does drain a little more than I would expect it to. I think over 2-3 days, it drained about 25%, and that's without even turning on the screen. But when you actually are using it, it lasts through the whole day, no problem. What is cool though is if you hate Androids, you should probably grow up, but in the meantime, you can actually plug this into your iPhone and you will have a use for Androids because it supports reverse charging. It becomes a really high-powered, expensive battery pack, but that's cool. But finally, the important part of a phone made by a TV company, the display. It is amazing. It is 6.9 inches, so that's iPhone Pro Max size. Like I said, I daily drive an iPhone 17, so this is the phone I'm using at night just to watch YouTube and scroll social media. So that size it's awesome, but carrying this around every day, I think it would be a little bit too big for my taste. Now, brightness wise, as far as peak nits, it's actually only 900, but when you take into consideration without auto brightness on and being in direct sunlight to get the peak 3000 on an iPhone, and you just drag the slider up, that's by default around 1000 nits. So it's really not that big of a difference, although I'm sure if I went outside with this, it could seem a little dim. Just like brightness, resolution wise, even to the more comparable iPhone 17e, it is a little less. In my experience, I cannot notice. But what I can notice, and you probably have too, is the matte display. Now, I absolutely love this. In fact, I threw on a matte screen protector on my iPhone because I love it that much. No matter if it is my phone or laptop, I just don't like a lot of reflections, and having that built in, like nano texture on my MacBook, or in this case, built in right to the TCL phone, it is definitely higher quality. Now, I totally understand if that is not your taste. That's just what this phone is. And I'm gonna say the same thing when it comes to the display technology itself. This is not OLED. OLED seems to be the only display option on everything modern, but the lack of it on this phone I don't think is to cut costs. This phone revolves around the viewing display experience. It focuses a lot on eye care, and with the IPS panel on this phone, it does align with that. In short, and as far as I'm aware, OLED panel technology flickers at a rate that humans can't see, but with longer use times, if you watch like a whole movie on an OLED display, it can trigger some eye strain, some headaches, and I think the science is pretty loose, but it can worsen your sleep. The last iPhones to have an IPS panel were the SE3 and the iPhone 11. As you may know, I was a long time user of that, and with the videos I made on it, reading through the comments, half were about, I can't imagine using a phone without OLED, couldn't be me, and then the other half were, man, I really wish phones had IPS technology because my eyes hurt with OLED. But like I mentioned on the TCL, you get a handful of eye care settings, which can just reduce blue light, and you can adjust how warm or cool you want it. It could very well be placebo effect, but as someone who uses this at night to watch YouTube, I do feel like my eyes are less strained. And I might even go as far as to say I do feel like I fall asleep quicker. But finally, as far as this special switch, I've been waiting to talk about this whole video. Everything so far has been in the regular display mode, but when you flip it on, you have 3 display options to choose from. One is a completely black and white ink display. One is a colored ink display, which is actually my personal favorite and what I have set by default. And finally, you have a full paper ink mode, and this one fully transforms your phone. You may have noticed this has completely changed my home screen, just keeping the essentials like messages, the phone, and something like a calculator app. And although you can add all of your regular apps to it, I think that completely defeats the purpose. This mode pretty much transforms your regular Android phone into a dumb phone that also doubles as an e-reader. If you swipe left, you now get your bookshelf. And it also extends your battery life an incredible amount. Now, I think it does limit your phone power and functionality wise. Again, my preference is the colored paper display. I think that's the best balance between things looking desaturated, and if you want to scroll on social media, it looks much less appealing, and still having access to all the apps and power functionalities. In fact, if you're watching one of my videos on the colored ink display, they'll be twice as unappealing because they already are to begin with. Luckily, no matter which mode you choose, it is really easy and actually satisfying with the little animation to switch between the modes. I really just enjoy looking at this display. It's hard to explain, but I think it's just the way all of the little tweaks and features come together, and it makes a very comfortable viewing experience. Now, usually for more budget phones, I kind of just expect them to cheap out on the cameras, but this kind of surprised me. It does seem like no matter what, compared to my regular iPhone 17 that I'm using every day, Android phones, no matter their price, the pictures always seem to look better. Both of these ones from outside, so they're just so much more vibrant. They're full of life, they're full to my eyes. And then we go to this macro. This is the one that I think I prefer the iPhones a little bit. It just looks a little bit more real. But even just for a selfie, look at the iPhone. It looks a little washed out. It's a little too magenta. This is on the neutral color profile, by the way. And then you hop over to the TCL. The colors are just so much more rich and real and vibrant. But for video, especially with more budget Android phones, the iPhones always just blow it out of the water. But with 2 little tests here. The first one is without all of my lights that I add. The iPhone looks kind of exactly what I would expect. The TCL looks a little bit worse, but very close. But once I add all the lights back in, the iPhone, that looks like iPhone video quality, it's pretty solid. We switch over to the TCL. It might be a little bit oversaturated and a little bit too much contrast, but out of those two, I think I prefer the TCL. I do notice if you look out the window, the iPhone seems to have more detail and more color information, but I think the TCL looks a little more natural. So that did surprise me, but you know, on paper, this phone isn't slouching camera-wise. Its main sensor is 50 megapixels, it has good image stabilization. The ultra-wide camera is a step down, being only 8 megapixels, although it doesn't look bad. But I do think for a budget phone, if you're gonna focus your resources on one of the cameras, they chose the right one. And again, if you found yourself recording a lot on here and running out of storage, you got that micro SD card slot and you can expand. And its microphone quality is solid, as well as the selfie video camera. Although it doesn't do 4K, it does 2K. That's fine in 99% of situations anyways, and it looks good on the screen. And I will say the selfie camera on the TCL is just a small little dot, unlike the dynamic island. I do love the dynamic island though. I would much rather prefer to do this test between the 17E and then the TCL, but I don't have the 17E. Now the speakers on the TCL, I'm not gonna even bother to test them. They're okay. they're not the best. Plus, I'm using earbuds most of the time anyways, and just with using this phone, I'm usually putting in my Nothing Buds 2A, which are like 30 bucks, and that is a killer budget combo right there. I respect TCL for making this phone. It's not going to be for everyone, but they doubled down on making a specific phone for a specific market of people, prioritizing a comfortable viewing display rather than chasing the most clinically, technically perfect technology that's out there. I really do like everything about this phone as it is right now in my hands. I just struggle to recommend it because of the software. Then again, you do the math. Let's say you buy this phone right now for $300, and then 2 to 3 years when the software support ends, you buy the next version for another $300. That's the equivalent of buying one $600 iPhone 17e and keeping that for 4 to 6 years. And even as this is right now, it offers more than the 17e with a 120Hz display, a much bigger display, and everything else this video is about. Like I like to say, at the end of the day, it's good at being a phone. That's really what matters. And I like how it has some character leaning into a more specific side of the market, but let me know your thoughts if you would ever buy one of these. And if you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe for more. Thank you for watching.